Hello, my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates. It's me, Stormie Grace, and welcome to your weekly horoscope for the week of January 22nd. And I just want to take a minute to say thank you so much to all of you for your feedback, for your positive energy, and for what you bring and put into this community. It's absolutely appreciated, and really your energy fuels the growth and the movement of this community. And I'm just thrilled to be a part of that journey with you and to help astrology become a language and help you increase your fluency here. So I just want to take a minute to say thank you so much for letting me be a part of your journey every week, every year, every month as we're moving and grooving, around here together. Now, if we've never met before, I am practicing professional astrologer Stormie Grace, and I am an evolutionary and a humanistic astrologer. So if those are two lenses of astrology that you like to live and move and groove in, then yeah, come on in here, sit down, take a seat, and we're going to unpack what's going on in the cosmos this week. Before we do that, remember you can always grab your digital transit calendar from our friends at Wise Skies Collective in the description box down below. It will help you keep up with the transits that are coming every week and every day, as a matter of fact. And listen, because I have heard what you guys have said to me, where you've said, Stormie, we need help with our astrology in this way. And I have created the Astrology Fluency Academy, and that is to help you become fluent in the language of astrology, to speak it, read it, write it out loud. And so I would love for you to come and join me for 6 weeks in my first portion of the program, From Knowledge to Fluency. So if you are one of those people who has a whole bunch of knowledge, little pieces under your belt here, there, and everywhere, but you can't quite pull it together into a cohesive story and conversation, you're like, I don't know how to synthesize these pieces together in the chart, then this is going to be the program for you. We're going to hang out for 6 weeks together. It is all intensive synthesizing and chart work to get you fluent, to get you speaking that chart out loud. So if that is you, or if you've invested a whole bunch of money in different kinds of classes and you still cannot speak the language of astrology, come spend 6 weeks for me. And I promise from day one of that class, you're going to start speaking astrology. And by the time you leave in week 6, you're going to at least be able to talk a chart out. So if that's you, find out more information in the description box down below. And I would love, 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 love to travel with you. All right, beautiful souls, let's get into this week and what's going on. I'm going to tell you from the gate that I think that the whole week has cosmic busyness, but the real kick up comes at the end of the week, where I think we've got a lot more action and activity. So let's jump in and take a look at that. First and foremost, on Monday, on the 22nd, as we're coming into the week with a Gemini moon. And I always think that that's really interesting because the Gemini moon is busy. It's busy, it's social, it's communicating. So in our emotional lives, we may be talking about things. We may be connecting more with people. There's a willingness to share what's going on. You learned something a long time ago, or information is like coming to you through your intuition, or you're able to pick up signs and signals. Remember, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So it's like, well, I saw a pattern of this over here and this over here and this over here, and that has shaped a pattern. And you're talking about what the pattern means to you, whether it's in your dream life, whether it's in your home life, and you're communicating this energy. So as we're coming in on Monday, first of all, you need to know that the senses are heightened to communication and to connection as we're traveling around throughout the day. And that is really going to be a lot of the guiding energy as we're traveling here on Monday. So just know that and prepare yourself. It's a Mercury day until we get later in the day. Then we see the moon move into the energy of Cancer. It's in domicile. It's very comfortable, living its best life, you know what I mean? So we've got the moon then traveling through Cancer. And for each of us, first of all, remember to grab your astrology chart and see which house Cancer lights up for you. For me, it's the 11th house. So I know that as the moon is making the transit this particular day, my 11th house is going to be where I'm going to pay attention to where's my emotional reaction to things. Where am I looking at? Where am I nurturing myself? Where am I looking at what makes me feel secure? Where am I feeling protective in this area? And I can have a little bit of an emotional evaluation with that. Now, what we're also going to see as we get around here into the vibration of Tuesday is that the moon will oppose Mercury and Mars, who are working themselves into a nice conjunction, okay? But we'll see the moon be in an opposition to those two on Tuesday. And so it's like I'm trying to say something, or I'm trying to communicate something and it's not quite coming out right. I think or I feel like I want this, and as I'm trying to express it, there can be a little bit of a breakdown. So, I just want you to know that that vibration may be in the air for a little bit. And if you're feeling a little bit extra sensitive, I always tell my husband, listen, at certain times during the month, if you could grant me a little bit of extra grace, because maybe what you're saying to me isn't what I'm hearing you say to me, and I may need a few extra seconds to process it, set my feeling aside, and then actually hear what you're saying to me, this would work out very well. So I think that that's a fantastic energy to take into your table as you're traveling later in the day on Monday and as we travel here into Tuesday. Now, as we're also traveling on Tuesday, we see Venus move into the vibration of Capricorn, okay? As Venus moves into Capricorn, it's going to be here until that second week in February. Now, Venus being our attraction planet, I'm attracting, I'm pulling in. It's also our planet of beauty and appreciation and receptivity. Okay, so as it's pulling in relationships, finances, the vibration I have around that. In Capricorn, it's a bit more serious. It's a bit more reserved. It's like, yeah, no, you know what I mean? When I was over in Sagittarius, I was like, I love everybody. It's all good. I love every perspective, In Capricorn, it's like, okay, well, hold on. Now, I appreciate you. I think that's cool. But what does that do for us? Does that help us build a strong and solid foundation? Is this practical? Like, what are we doing? How am I doing in my personal life, in my ambition to be known for something? That's something to think about as well with Venus traveling here through Capricorn. The other thing I was thinking of is in Capricorn, Venus has a personal appreciation for what I call professional developments, right? So a great example of that is things that stick around long term. So, professionally, you've been married for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. Personally, Venus appreciates that level of stability. She's like, yeah, whoa, that's like a long time. You know what I mean? So it's a great time for you between now and February 16th to look around and say, okay, well, hold on. Where have I been serious? Where have I been disciplined in my life? And it has turned into something that I can look back and love and I can appreciate, whether it's around my relationships or it's around my finances. Where have I had this? Now, the other thing is if you are looking to attract love into your life, if you're looking to call in a stronger financial situation, Venus as an energy is really, really useful for that, because it also makes it easier to connect with people who have a skill or a knowledge or a professional tone or a little bit higher up than you. It makes it easier to connect in that way and then to also receive that information. Now, let's just keep in mind, it's also, almost the end of January. So some of you could just be having a meeting with the tax person and you're doing that and you're getting that under your shoes and under your belt, and that's just what it is, right? All right, on the 24th, we're going to see that the moon continues to travel through this Cancerian vibration here, but late afternoon on the 24th, we see the moon get into the void of course position. So I just want to encourage you here on Wednesday to do a little bit of a rest, because as we're going to come into Thursday, we're going to move into that full moon territory, the full moon in Leo, which I actually think is a really wonderful, playful full moon. But first, I want to encourage on Wednesday to rest. Finish up projects, finish up things from the past, kind of bring this home zone energy to a close, because as we get to Thursday all the way through the rest of the weekend, it's energetically going to be kicking up a bit, okay? Starting off right away Thursday morning, we get the moon entering into the vibration of Leo, so now it's making its ingress, and we're starting. The moon is in fire. So as the moon is in Leo, just in general, just into a fire energy, it's more playful. It's like, lighten up, chill out. Where can we have some fun? Where can we have some rest? Where can we have some ease? But I'm also speaking it out. emotionally, I'm a little bit more dramatic. It's very Gone with the Wind kind of vibration that I see here. But it's also, where do I have to have courage? All right, so later in the day, with the background music being this courageous moon in Leo, we're going to see Mars come into a square with Chiron. And I think that the courage of that Leo moon actually plays through really strong here. Because as we're experiencing Mars squaring Chiron, first of all, what we have is a stimulation, or a Mars, an inflammation of an old wound, right? Or something in us that has been vulnerable, maybe insecure, something like that. It's being poked upon here a little bit, right? It's like, hey, this is old. This has been here for a while. What are you doing with this? But the courage to navigate whatever's coming up for you with some reflection is really going to be huge today. And also, further from that, is going to be the courage to take action that may have been different, maybe action that is forgiving, that is assertiveness towards healing, that is assertiveness towards cleaning out long-standing traumas, dramas, misunderstanding and energy, right? So it's literally like this energy that I see in my mind where the wounded warrior, the wounded piece of our identities is looking at something old and it's going, you know what? Hold on. I don't need to prove myself anymore. I don't need to prove that I'm worthy. I don't need to prove that I did or didn't actually do that. I just need to live and to be and to demonstrate my independence and my autonomy and my forgiveness of the past in order to go forward. Now, whether that is you speaking that out loud to someone else in your life and you're having to have that conversation, or you're having that in this real internal evolved kind of place where you're like, I forgive me. I'm done being defensive and having defensive reactions with myself, of myself, by myself, or to regard myself as anything now or then as absolutely perfect and divine and in a state of continued growth, right? So there's a real forgiveness that I think comes in, but it takes courage, and it takes almost seeing ourselves and situations in our lives through those childlike eyes, that childlike heart that's playful like Leo. Now, as we get a little bit a bit down the road, we've got the full moon happening in Leo at 5 degrees. So again, make sure you locate this on your chart. And if you need a little bit more guidance, you can watch the full moon in Leo video that is out. You can also head over to my website at stormiegrace.com, where I've got the free astrology encyclopedia, and you can just look up full moon in Leo in the 5th house. What does that mean for my chart, right? So wherever it's landing in your chart, you can use a free resource to check that out. But this full moon is going to ask us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. So wherever this is at in your chart, what is going to be illuminating in the sky is this energy of, first of all, like, where are you taking it too serious? It's too serious. You're doing too much. Let yourself off the hook. Let them off the hook. Not because we're saying that people didn't do things wrong. Not because we're saying that wasn't immature, but because what is being offered to you this time is a release towards your own joy, towards your own pleasure, expressing something that is important to you today and is also current with who you are. Now, remember that this full moon is square to Jupiter, so the ability to absolutely make something bigger than it is here. And one of the things I think about with this Jupiter and Taurus energy is it's just, you're like, oh, it was the worst of times. You know what I mean? And it just gets really big really fast. And that's not actually what we're going for here. Instead, it's like this bursting of acknowledgement through your consciousness. And we can let that get bigger. We can let that get bigger, because when the moon is in a square to Jupiter, what we're saying is I need to do something. And what I need to do is move towards the real truth of the current value, Jupiter and Taurus, of what is happening in my life. So is this old story that was in my life, am I still taking it very seriously? And it is literally I am hinging and anchoring every decision in my life from it. Is it still my parents' fault? Is it still this guy's fault? Am I still blaming myself? Do I still believe I'm not allowed to make that much money, right? Like, what is it in those kinds of ghosts from your past thing that are there and they still have weight and value? Or is it like, yes, I have previously been in relationships that didn't work successfully, and today I learned and I know something different and I've forgiven myself and I'm able to move and function in relationships in a different way. So it's really like, what is the value in the emotional stories that we're telling ourselves without completely overblowing them? So if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Right? Okay, before we leave the day, we're going to see Mercury now come into a square with Chiron, continuing to work its way to this really nice exact conjunction with Mars as we get through the weekend. And first of all, Mercury and Chiron can really indicate a challenge with communication, right? There's a tension, there's a struggle in how we're communicating here. So whether it's like, I feel like I'm not effectively sharing my communication with you in some way, or I have had internalized pain or an internalized belief wound or something like that, and it stopped the way that I communicate, or it's made it so that my communication style has been a wounded communication style. This is something that may come up as you're looking at this energy just after this full moon, and it's like this reflection of, yes, when I say this or when I communicate this way, even with my body, because remember, Ursula from The Little Mermaid said, never underestimate the power of body language, because even my body language as I'm engaging with you, telling you a story of doubt, of I doubt me, I doubt my abilities, Mercury, I doubt my intellectual abilities, I doubt you, I doubt I'm putting into this energy a wounded communication style in some way, right? But also, where I continue to drive us to remember is that Chiron in Aries now is out of its retrograde time. So it is not just communicating from the wound anymore. So just as much as it can or has maybe helped us look at our own communication styles, it can also show us that I can heal my life, my relationship, my body, my thinking through communication as well. And I can learn, Mercury, from painful experiences, Chiron. And as they square together here, the personal growth, the resilience, the reflection, the ability to talk about hard things can be a game changer under this particular transit. And we'll continue to see this energy throughout the weekend. So, who are you having a conversation with? Are you going back and addressing wounds of how you've treated your body, your health, your money, the people in your life? Is someone engaging you? They're coming to make an amends to you, right? Like, what does this look like? Share that with me if you can, if you feel comfortable, in the comment section down below, because I'm curious, what is this healing in this new identity or this new identified ways of communicating that are coming up for you? All right, as we roll here into Friday, we're going to see that Leo moon continues to travel until we get later in the day and the moon is stepping into void of course position, and we'll see that travel continue on throughout some time on Saturday. So you've got a fair amount of rest time after the full moon, which I actually love. All right, as we're traveling here on Saturday, we've still got some of that void of course moon energy that we're working with, and we're also going to see the sun come here in a square to Jupiter. And okay, so Sun square Jupiter, the sun brings light, heat, life, and vitality. Jupiter in Taurus is like this expansion of truth. And the one thing I just want to tell you is, as you're traveling through the day on Saturday, especially in the morning time, just be a little bit more mindful of moderation, because it can get really big really fast. You've had some feeling, you've been walking through some things, maybe there's even been some healing, so it feels like there's this big weight that has been lifted, or there's a bit more clarity, because hopefully some conversation and stimulation has gone on through the week and through Friday, and now you're like, oh, I just have all this space, and you go very quickly take on too much work, too much responsibility, you spend too much money. It can be a really exuberant energy. So I invite you to enjoy it, enjoy the energy. Just don't overdo things if you can manage that. All right, just after that, we see Uranus here coming direct in the vibration of Taurus. Now, we saw Uranus go retrograde on August 28th at 23 degrees of Taurus, and it is coming out of retrograde here at 19 degrees of Taurus. So for any of you who have got planets, points, angles, asteroids, fixed stars, whatever it is that you work with, between 19 and 23 degrees of Taurus, you're going to want to really see where this potent work has been happening in your chart across those points or angles or whatever you're working with. But for the rest of us, we all just need to identify that 19 to 23 degrees in our chart. And I've put a little breakdown in the description box down below for you to see what has been happening, what Uranus has been doing in that house for you, and a little bit of a reflection question to guide you with what does it look like right now. But generally speaking, when Uranus is retrograde, we're going to go back and look at what inner changes need to be made in order for us to have external freedom. Now, keep in mind, if you have Uranus retrograde in your chart, instead of running inside like all the rest of us, you might have been running out. You've been inside thinking about all the internal changes and what do I need to do to have freedom and things like that. And now you've been externalizing those actions. You've been thinking about starting that business and you've done it. Right? So take a look at your own chart. And again, if you don't have a chart, get one for free. Order one from me down in the description box down below, but get your chart so you can see how to really effectively work with these retrograde energies, because your future kind of depends on it, right? If you've got a time where you can more easily externalize something that you're working on and building and breaking free from for your future, wouldn't you want to know the time frames to work with those energies the best? The other thing I was thinking about with this Uranus retrograde is what is it for most of us that we were really looking at? And in the vibration of Taurus, it is that we no longer value something about our past story, our past finances, our past relationships. But as I was looking, when Uranus went retrograde, it actually went retrograde in trine to Mercury, who is also having a retrograde conversation as well. So it's really been a dance over this last handful of months of getting clear about what we don't value in our stories anymore, right? What we don't value in how we communicate and how we think anymore. So there's been a real revolution, I think, of that energy, and it creates a space of flexibility. It makes us more open-minded, or it gives us the opportunity to be more open-minded than we've ever been. It also creates a place, I think, for creativity and innovation in how I communicate, what I value in communication, and what I value in terms of thinking and messaging in my life. So I'm really curious for each of us out there, realizing that that is kind of the dance and the dynamic that we've been under, is where do you find yourself more open-minded? Where are you finding yourself more willing to innovate and also to quickly adapt to changes and to the world that's going on even around you? Because Uranus is also an outer planet. So it's not just changing us internally in our own personal lives, but also where are you finding yourself engaging in different conversations in your world, in your community, in what you value, and how do you feel like you're adapting to the vibration around it? Uranus in Taurus got a lot of people, it like was shaking a mountain and called a lot of people back to the places of their ancestors or back to the places of older family members, right? It's like the dust in the wind that shook up the mountain called people to what they call home. Where have you found yourself calling home and going back to it? Let me know that in the comment section down below. For me, I've shared with you guys, and I continue to share on the new blog, my adventures back to Spain and into Europe. And that was a very big piece of my story. So make sure you click in the description box and check out the blog as well, okay? All right, later in the day, we see Mercury and Mars finally reach their conjunction together, which is beautiful because now we've got the planet of the mind in conjunction with the planet of action and movement. So it's like, when my mind and my actions can get into alignment, there is a lot to be able to get done. And in the vibration of Capricorn, we're going to be getting some things done. Now, first of all, really, truly, what I'm thinking about and what I'm doing are focused, and they are in an alignment. So this is do your taxes this day. Oh my gosh, do your taxes, get your life together, get organized, get things in this, focused, well-managed kind of alignment. This is a great day for that. Now, it's also a great day for being highly decisive. What decisions do you need to make? Make the decision, do it, go forward. This is the day where it's like, if you've been sitting on the fence of, I'm going to take the class, I'm not going to take the class. Make a decision one way. My spiritual teacher always tells me, Stormie, if you're sitting on the fence, it gets really painful. And that's my experience. It gets really painful to be on the fence for too long. But that all I need to do is make a decision. And when I make a decision, one baby step on my part, the universe comes running, right? So it's like this rapid response mission. And it's like the universe has just been waiting for me to say, I'm pointing myself in this direction, and then it comes running with the support that I need, or it comes running with the course correction that I need in order to continue to move forward. So it's a day I'm going to ask you, what are you on the fence about? Are you experiencing an energy that feels inflamed or feels hostile? Are you experiencing, because Mars is Mars. Mars can inflame things. Are you experiencing hostility from other people? And you need to make a decision about what it is that you're going to do with that. Well, either way, it is a great day. It is a great afternoon to be doing that. Now, later, to just support the squad, the moon gets into the energy of Virgo, again, emotionally, giving us this space where it's like, I need practical, I need grounded, I need information for me to feel soothed, for me to feel emotionally grounded into what I'm doing. And I do need to get organized. Okay, later we're going to see that this Mars-Mercury dance comes into square with the nodes. And this energy, I'm telling you, it's really like the crossroads. I feel like it's the crossroads point where it is like, I either have to address my fear, which means face everything and recover, right? Or F everything and run. And I've either got to make a decision to move forward, even if I don't think that the path is absolutely clear and I know every step, right? Remember, the moon is in Virgo. I want all of the information. Or I need to make a decision over here and continue on with behavior that may or may not be serving me. So at that North Node point, I get to remember I'm actually a part of the cosmic field trip going on now that is pulling us all forwards towards that Aries energy. Where do I need to go towards an independence? Where do I need to make the decision as to where I'm going next, which will naturally lead to where do I need to let go of my old relationship, or connection to an old story or set of behaviors that is not going to let me kind of seamlessly move forward in the direction of the decisions that I need to make? That's a really great question, okay? Now, we're also going to see that before we close out the day that we've got Venus in a sextile to Saturn. Now, the sextile is an indicator that there's a pocket of opportunity here, and I'm intelligently taking action on it. And the Venus-Saturn sextile on the heels of this nodal interaction, I think, is so positive because it means that I'm setting myself up for long-term success here. It's almost like, do you remember Wendy's had this advertising and they said, if you build it, they will come? It's that. If I'm building a space that is future forward minded, that is of healing, that is of forgiveness, that is of abundance, even if I'm just taking a leap to engage myself in my life differently, if I build something solid, Venus will attract it in. It attracts in these new possibilities for long-term success, and that's the Saturnian piece that I think gets involved here. So build it. Build it in your relationships. Build it in your finances. Build it in your nutrition. Build it in your faith and your belief life. Build it in your parenting, right? What are you building so that people can come? But also remember, a part of the building process has to be all of the communication from the beginning of the week. How do I communicate? Who am I letting communicate into my life? And are they helping me build and grow and adding new knowledge to me so that I can move forward, right? So these are some great questions to evaluate here on Saturday. Now, as we get into Sunday, kind of quiet during the daytime, but as we get here to Sunday afternoon, we see Mercury in a trine to Uranus. And a Mercury-Uranus, especially in a trine, it can be really exciting. Like you get information out of nowhere, or an opportunity presents itself to you and you didn't necessarily see it coming. And it may be something that's really unconventional, or it comes from an unconventional place where it's like you could be looking at your life and it's the same old dang thing, right? But all of a sudden you are seeing it different. You're like, oh, I could do it this way, or oh, I learned how to do that in 15 minutes and it has completely revolutionized the way that I've been thinking about doing or communicating something in my life. I will tell you, I find cool things all the time, especially because, you know, we have an app for everything. And my VA, my virtual assistant, has introduced me to a couple new apps that have absolutely made my life easier. So it may be a great day to be checking that out as well, okay? Later, before we close out Sunday, we've got Venus in a trine to Jupiter. The two benefics are creating an opportunity right here. So, you know, it's a lucky energy. You get the new app, you free up some energy, you find out that I am in luck. I have extra time, I have extra energy, I have extra availability. This has changed my life. It has taken my service and been able to put it online, and now I can generate income in a way that is easier. You know, what is it that you're getting this luck of the draw, lucky break kind of energy coming to you on the heels of learning something that has been innovated within you? And for some people, I'm telling you, this may be a very superficial win for you, and it can also be something very deep. Throughout this week, we have learned a lot about how I communicate, and if I'm communicating from a wounded place or I'm communicating from a place that has been healed a little bit, right? And the way that I communicate in my household has the ability to so deeply change the dynamic of my home, so deeply give myself, my husband, my children an opportunity to grow into what we're all becoming, but also feel loved and supported while that's happening. You know, the way that I think, the way that I communicate changes the way that I regard the entire universe and the systems within it. So it can be, you know, a win up here at a surface level, but also the work that has been done has such influential connection to how the rest of my life is shaping up that it could be a win that's so deep and comes upon so easily like a light breeze that if I'm not paying attention, I can miss that I've actually had a really deep win happen for me on Sunday. All right, my absolutely beautiful friends, I hope to see you in class. Join me in the Knowledge to Fluency program, because I'm telling you, if you have been spending years learning astrology and you cannot accurately speak an astrology chart out loud and feel confident while you're doing it, if you can't write an astrology chart, or you can't write an astrological conversation, and you've been studying for years, for months, for days, if you just want help putting it all together and to be in a supportive community while that's happening, join me in the Astrology to Fluency class. We will be together for 6 weeks, and I'm telling you, we're going hard in chart work, and I can't wait to rock and roll with you. All right, beautiful friends, love you, and I'll see you next week. Bye.